What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from IRL, and this is the final preseason test for F1, F2, heading into this year's competitions. It's going to be F1 Season 5, and we're actually going to have F2 Season 1, and some of the drivers are going to be mixed together, and a lot to talk about today during this preseason test. A lot of stuff has happened since the last outing. Lots of driver changes, some administrative news, and we'll get all into that here very shortly. Just trying to button up a couple of things here for the stream, but I see some guys are already starting to chime in, and we're going to pick you guys up on the live chats. I want to thank everybody for joining in so far, but it looks like we are going to have quite the eventful day. Lightning Kimmy getting on. Brandon the Man Glover chiming in. So we'll run down the drivers here real quick. Alienware is going to be TJ McLean, the very controversial driver. The last preseason test out, him and Cameron Weston Edwards actually had a great battle for the fifth position, I would believe it was. But a lot of controversy surrounding this driver, kind of the black hat, the black sheep, if you will. He's kind of a love-or-hate type driver, kind of like Kyle Busch. But I definitely think he proved himself a little bit racing with Cameron last time out, as they went side by side for many, many laps, putting on some quite the good racing there. Working our way down the list, Praga X30 is going to be Lewis Marshall, and Lewis Marshall has been put into, well, actually, he was always with Ferrari, but he's going to have a new teammate going into this year, and we'll get into that a little bit more. SX White is Gabriel Ryan. Agera R96 is Reese Bibi, I do believe. He's going to be driving the Renault. It's actually the factory Renault, that is, not the McLaren Renault. ZE3EXER is Sandre Sauerhog. We're going to talk about more about him here in a little while. He'll be rocking one of the Toro Rossos. Saba Siktu is going to be in the Haas. Convex Popeye, that is Chris Ryan, unexpectedly driving a McLaren today. Little piece is Jorge Carrera. Antonio, 123456692, rocking the Mercedes Petronas. I'm not 100% sure who that is. Tyler Thomas, going to be driving one of the Scuderias today. And then there's Bobble Scott, not 100% sure who that is either. Honda PA is Callum Anderson, driving the Force Indy. We have Jeremy Pope rocking the Williams. Neon X Rapid, driving another Renault. He is one of the IRL Gran Turismo drivers, and I'm not 100% sure who that is. Beastie Kids is Louis Quinlan. TMC Body, driving a Haas, not sure who that is either. The Aaron Gamer will be rocking a Sauber. And again, he's probably an F2 driver. I'm not 100% sure who that is. And KLC73, that is Aaron. He should be joining me here in the booth, I would imagine, in a little bit. Doesn't look like he's actually joined in to do anything at this point, as we continue to wait for some new drivers to join in. And it looks like we have Bobble Scott is Thomas Scott. I do believe that is a F2 driver. We will try to make note of that for today's session. I don't have a full F2 drivers list as of yet, but I will certainly get that moving forward with the season as it starts and progresses. Just getting some second-hand information here. Looks like Antonio is actually Antonio Almargo. And if I'm butchering that name, I apologize, Antonio. I will just refer to you as Antonio. Almago. Neon X Rapid is Jared Fosbury. I do believe he is on the Mobile 1 Corvette racing team for the GT3 League. Looks like we're getting ready to kick off here. TMC body is Bardia Broman. And Bardia Broman is actually going to be one of the F1 drivers, and then we're going to do the preseason test here at the infamous Paul Ricard circuit. And for me, this is a real love-hate track. A lot of people seem to like it. There's a lot of history here at Paul Ricard, but it is not the same Paul Ricard that has the illustrious lore of the old F1. This is seemingly what would be considered a new circuit as far as I'm concerned. Very smooth, not a lot of elevation change, lots of different layouts. Miles and miles and miles of runoff for no particular reason. You could land a 747 jumbo jet on the backstretch if you needed to. So a lot of people like it. Me, I'm not particularly fond of it. Going to have ourselves a 45-minute practice session. Then we should have a short qualifying and then a short race. And again, we have lots to talk about as far as driver changes and some information on the league that possibly most of you are probably already aware of. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. You can hear the engines firing up and some of the drivers getting ready to leave pit lane. Hopefully we'll also be able to get some driver interviews in here today as well. Looks like Gabriel Ryan is stating someone has stole his house. So Gabriel, I don't have a lot of information as to who or what is supposed to be particularly participating in today's race and practice session. It looks like we already had a caution in Sector 1. It looks like there is 3 slots open with the McLaren, the Sauber, and the Mercedes. If anybody wanted to take one of them, we're going to pick up Callum Anderson here real quick on his outlap. It looks like Antonio is in the Red Bull. The Aaron Gamer, not 100% sure who that is. He's also in the other Red Bull. TJ McLean, already rocking one of the Mercedes Petronas. Neon Rapid, apparently I missed his name. Jared Fosbury. So everybody out on their outlaps. And we'll start with Reese Bibby in the factory Renault. Now Reese Bibby, you'll notice that the Jared Fosbury was in the other factory Renault, it looked like. But moving forward, there was some big news yesterday and earlier this morning, and part of it pertains to the factory Renault, but you'll notice that Cameron Weston Edwards is not in one of those said Renaults, and he was scheduled to, and maybe he loses the back end of the car, and it looks like VSR Francis is joining. That is the infamous Francis McGinn. But Cameron Weston Edwards was supposed to be in one of those Renaults and made a decision to step away from racing and league ownership for the time being, and needs to concentrate on real-world structure, particularly school and exams. And so we certainly wish him the best of luck moving forward in his actual real-life endeavors. Certainly, we hope he'll return to IRL in the near future, and he'll still be doing some behind-the-scenes work when he has time. But trying to run a league and run a web page and run YouTube page and all that fun stuff was a little more than he could handle, along with his, real life commitments. And it looks like we've got Jay Chitex joining us as well. That is Jay Drawbridge. We're definitely going to be talking about him a little bit. So Cameron Weston Edwards is out of league ownership, not racing in the IRL F1 season, and has handed over operations to Sondre Sarahog, who we all seem to have a lot of confidence in. He's run his own minor league in the past, and has actually been working behind the scenes a little bit with Cameron for the past 6 months as an administrator. So total utmost confidence in Sondre's abilities to take the reins of this F1 league and continue moving it forward as Cameron has done for the past 4 seasons as we look forward to the 5th. So that's the big news as far as IRL. The GT3 League on Gran Turismo will continue under the ownership of IRL with oversight from Sondre, but those reins have basically been handed off to Convicts Popeye, which is Chris Ryan and myself, to try and keep that going. And actually, they've got another race coming up this next weekend at Monza, so you guys can look forward to that. But me and Chris will be working behind the scenes and racing in that league as well, trying to keep it going. It had a really good first season under Cameron's watch, and the second season has been pretty good so far. So we look forward to continuing the GT3 League and obviously the GT4 Summer League, as we've got a caution in Sector 2. You see some guys setting up some times now. Gabriel Ryan has been the fastest so far to 1:32.1. That is, around goes one of the Force Indias. I'm not sure who that was. Gabriel Ryan sets the fastest lap so far. He's 7/10 of a second faster than Thomas Siktu in the Haas. Jared Fosbury wanted a 1:33.3. And the Aaron Gamer has headed into the pits. He's in one of the Red Bulls. Chris Ryan, 1:38.1 so far, a little bit off the pace. And I'll have to try and get some confirmation. Not 100% sure if Ryan is doing F2 this year or just filling in the spot for right now. But those are the only 6 drivers that have set a time so far. And it looks like we've got another driver. The Aaron Gamer sets a 1:37.0. Check out Francis McGinn. And we will definitely try to get some of these drivers in here to do some driver interviews here in a little bit as we continue to watch Christopher Ryan. I'm sorry, this is actually Francis McGinn in the McLaren. And Francis McGinn, it looks like Louis Quinlan has retired from the session. I wonder if he had an off somewhere. I'm not able to check into that. F1 2018 kind of took away that ability. You see one of the Toro Rossos coming out of the pit lane right in front of Francis McGinn. And McGinn was a special case. He had a great outing at the last preseason test and then decided that he was not going to participate in the upcoming season. Francis runs in multiple facets of many different leagues. I've heard rumors up to 9 different leagues. I know he does IRL, I know he does SRL, which is the other league that I commentate for. And that was a lot for Francis to try and keep up with as far as running in 9 leagues. And he had called it quits there after the last preseason test. And it's good to see that he is back, and hopefully he'll be back for the whole season, as Sergey Randall has joined. And look at this. VSR Blizzard to the top of the charts, and that is Matthew Alder. And it looks like Barry has left the session as well. Now, Matthew Alder is another particular case, because I was told earlier today that Alder was not going to be participating and had retired from the season before it even started. And Alder's really been the one to beat. He's supposed to be a factory Ferrari driver for the Scuderia Ferrari. He is supposed to be teammates with Lewis Marshall. I got word this morning that had changed, and Mark Horsfall would be taking over for Matthew Alder in his absence, but here we have Alder on the track, so I'll have to try and get some clarification on that moving forward. But right now it looks like he's rocking one of the Salvers. So we have Matthew Alder at the top of the charts, followed by Gabriel Ryan, followed by TJ McLean, who's actually put in a really good time. Saba Siktu is your 4th quickest driver. Jared Fosbury is going to be your 5th quickest, followed by Lewis Marshall. Oh, and now Jay Drawbridge is going to the top of the charts in one of the Mercedes. And Jay Drawbridge was actually supposed to start this season as an F2 driver and put in such good times in the last couple preseason tests in the McLaren that he worked his way into an F1 seat. And you can see why. 1:31.493, fastest of all the cars that have set a time so far. So props to Jay Drawbridge. And it looks like he might be a force to be reckoned with moving into the season. And we'll pick up Matthew Alder again, because we're not completely done talking about him, because a lot of drivers pointed to him as the guy to beat moving forward. Scuderia Ferrari looked like a powerhouse with the likes of Matthew Alder and Lewis Marshall, who are both very fast drivers. So they look like the team to beat. Alder looked like the driver to beat. I'll try and get clarification, hopefully during the broadcast, of whether or not he is actually going to be participating in this F1 league. He was also supposed to participate in the Gran Turismo GT3 league, but he has definitely not done that so far this year. They're well into their season. I think round 4 coming up, as I said, next week at Monza, so look forward to that. But Alder has not participated in any of the previous races in the GT3 league. Oh, and Alder gets together with one of the Red Bulls, and they go around, and that is going to be some wing damage. And luckily this is just practice, but good thing it wasn't qualifying or anything like that. So Jay Drawbridge, as I said, was going to be a McLaren F2 driver. Has definitely worked his way into the F1 foray. So we look forward to seeing him. He'll be taking place of Yannick Bigler. Don't have a whole lot of information on Yannick Bigler, but it looks like he has been replaced by Jay Drawbridge in the McLaren Renaults for this year. Also moving forward, Sebastian Gonçalves, who has proven to be very fast years past, especially last year. He was about the only driver that was able to take any type of fight to Matthew Alder. Sebastian Gonçalves has decided not to participate in this year's F1 league, and he will be replaced at Mercedes by Rene Vanderstappen. He'll be teammates with Brandon Glover. Glover, who is not on track today, but is watching. Look forward to seeing him back on track as well. Glover's proven to be very fast in the past. Renault, as we talked about, Cameron Weston Edwards will not be participating. You got Reese Bibby, and his teammate will now be Jimmy McCardell. And McCardell, scrappy young fella. Look forward to watching him race. I had a conversation with him during the off-season, and he really felt like he was ready to take the fight for the championship. And we'll see if he's able to do that. It doesn't look like he's participating in today's practice session, but Jimmy McCardell had a really good run last year at the opening round in Canada at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and it looks like Lewis Marshall has left the session. as we continue to watch Jay Drawbridge. We'll pick up Jorge Carrera. He's in the other Sauber. We've got cautions in sectors 2 and 3. Quinlan's the only driver that is out right now. Jorge Carrera we pick up, who's currently 8th fastest. So what I officially have so far as moving into the first round, which will be coming, the first rounds, November 3rd will be a Saturday. That is going to be the first round for F2, and then November 4th is a Sunday. That'll be the first round for F1, Season 5. And they're going to be kicking the season off at the, again, it'll be Canada, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So you watch one of the Red Bulls snap loose. But as far as the official driving order that I have going into that season, Scuderia Ferrari will be Lewis Marshall and Mark Horsfall. It doesn't look like Mark is participating in today's test either. Force India will be James Hallworth, who's not in today, along with Lewis Bish. Looks like he's not racing either. We've got a caution in sector 2 and 3 popping up as Sauber here runs wide. Pick up Matthew Alder. He just ran another lap and wasn't able to improve on his time at all. And again, cautions flying in sectors 2 and 3. Trying to see if there's anybody that's off. Looks like Jeremy Pope is going into the pits. And Aaron Gamer goes around again right in front of one of the McLarens. Looks like he's struggling with traction a bit here. And I see one of the Toro Rossos go by. And almost comes out in front of one of the Mercedes as well. And it looks like he was going around again. And he's going to head to the pits. Pick up Antonio. He's on his outlap. But we still have cautions flying in sectors 2 and 3. Must be a lot of quick on and offs. I'm not too familiar with Paul Ricard, at least not in this particular layout. Again, the last Paul Ricard I saw was from old F1 footage from the 70s, and it didn't look anything like this. But as we continue to work down the teams list, Force India we said was Lewis Bish and James Hallworth. Haas F1 is supposed to be Saba Siktu and Gabriel Ryan. Both Gabriel Ryan's a previous Grand Prix winner. Saba Siktu has won a pole last season. We have AOR Nunu chiming in on the live chat. And it looks like Neon Rapid has retired from the session. Oh my, and there goes one of the signs. So AR Nunu, always welcome a new viewer and follower. We continue to watch practice here. 28 minutes left in the practice session here. This is the final F1 practice for going into season 5. Working again down the team orders and drivers. For the F1, we've got the McLaren Hondas is supposed to be Noah Van Hoog, who again is not participating in today's practice session. And Jay Drawbridge, who again, Jay Drawbridge was supposed to be an F2 driver going into this season, but he's proven to be very fast. He is in the Mercedes today, but he will be driving the McLaren Renault come the beginning of the year. Matthew Alder to the top of the charts. He's the only driver to hit the 130 mark at a 137.50. But again, I do want to give props to Jay Drawbridge for picking up that F1 seat. It proved to be very fast in the, especially at the test at Spa. He was very quick. And a little bit of an internet glitch there. One car going through the other. Oh, they both slide off, and around goes Alder. And that's the second time Alder's been off today. So being fast comes at a cost. And that's the second time Alder has had a on-track contact with another driver. And there goes the Force India. And again, moving forward from Renault, we have the Mercedes Petronas team. That is going to be Brandon Glover and Rene van der Staap. Again, Rene will be picking up, will be taking the seat of Sebastian Gonçalves, as Gonçalves has decided to pull out moving into the beginning of the year. Red Bull, the factory Red Bull, will be Joshua Dangle. And again, he's not participating in today's event. But Joshua Dangle, nice young guy, proven to be a pretty quick, scrappy young fella. So we look forward to seeing him back on track when the season starts. His teammate is the black hat, TJ McLean. And McLean has currently set the 4th fastest time as he sits in the pits to do some adjustments. Reese Bibby and Jimmy McCarta will be in the factory Renaults. And in the Saubers, the Alfa Romeo Saubers, is supposed to be Jorge Carrera, who is out on track today. Currently the 10th fastest time. Again, doing some adjustments. His teammate is supposed to be Felix Neguar. That is last year's champion, and that championship last year went down to the wire. Felix Neguar started off strong last year, had 3 wins in a row to kick off the season, and then fell off a little bit. Midway through the season, Matthew Alder, who is currently your fastest driver here today, joined mid-season and went on a tear to win 5 out of 6 races. He won 6 consecutive poles, set a new IRL record, and that championship literally came down to the wire at Spa in the closing laps, and Alder was almost able to pull it off, but luckily for Felix Neguar, he was able to finish high enough in the running order to take that championship. So we hope he'll be another strong running for him this year. And then moving forward from that is going to be Toro Rosso, and that's going to be Sandre Sauerhog and Louis Quinlan. And again, we talked about Sandre earlier today. Going to be taking the reins for IRL from Cameron Weston Edwards, as Edwards had to, unfortunately, call it quits for the indefinite future. Again, hopefully he'll be back again someday, but he's got real-world commitments and just didn't have the time. So Sandre's going to take the reins for IRL F1, and certainly have the utmost confidence in him and his abilities in order to make this work. There shouldn't be a problem there. Williams F1, as we look at one of the ones here, this was Thomas Scott, I believe, and he's one of the F2 drivers, I believe, because I have, as far as F1 is supposed to be Francis McGinn and Dante Thompson. Dante Thompson not joining in today's festivities, for lack of a better term. So a lot of guys in the pits doing some adjustments on their cars. And we are going to try and get a couple of these guys in here while they are doing some adjustments in some pits. I know we definitely want to talk to Sandre with him taking over the league. And a couple other drivers that we want to talk to. We'd definitely like to try and talk to Francis McGinn. And so Sandre, Francis McGinn, Callum Anderson, Thomas Scott, and Tyler Thomas. Definitely going to try and get them in here. Hopefully within the next few minutes as we continue on this practice session. 23 minutes left to play in the practice session. And as we continue to watch, we'll try and run down the order here a little bit. Matthew Alder is the fastest car. Again, we've seen him twice today have a little bit of an on-track altercation with other drivers. Fast is great, but he might be a little too fast. Having a hard time controlling the car. But he is your fastest driver. He's currently on another outlap. We'll pick up Jay Drawbridge, who, again, has proven to be very fast in the previous test sessions. He's second quickest today, 1:31.0. Then you pick up Gabriel Ryan. He's won a couple of races in IRL history, I think back in season 2 and 3. Fourth quickest is TJ McLean, who's currently in the pits, followed by Saba Siktu. He won a pole last year. Reese Bibby is sixth fastest. Now, your seventh fastest driver was Neon X Rapid. That was Jared Fosbury. Looks like he had an off and is gone, but still seventh quickest time, followed by Lewis Marshall. He's actually a little bit off the pace today as far as I'm concerned. I really considered Lewis to be a little bit higher up the charts, but right now he's eighth fastest. Same thing with Francis McGinn. He's currently only ninth quickest, really expecting him to be higher up the charts as well. Jorge Carrera is your 10th fastest, and Jorge is a very interesting driver to watch because he works off of a completely different pitch strategy than the game recommends or that any other driver would even try to do. He does some really long stints, and it really paid off for him a couple races last year. Finally picked up a podium last year. He's had podiums in the past, but he went over a year without picking one up. And the last few races, he was really able to run some obscure pitch strategies that made it work for him and he usually would start at the back of the field, and he was really able to be a top 5 contender towards the end of the season. Callum Anderson will be in the Force India today. He's your 10th fastest car, and that just got dropped, and somebody else picked up some time. Looks like that was Thomas Scott, was able to go 5th quickest. Oh, and he's run into one of the other cars and backed into the car into the Armco. And that is going to be a 5-place grid penalty if we were working under a race scenario, which I do believe we're going to do a short qualifying session in a short exhibition race after this 45-minute test session, so that's going to cost them heading into that. They just set the 5th fastest time and immediately runs into another driver. So Callum Anderson was now your 11th fastest driver. Sanjay Sauerhog is on his outlap. Chris Ryan is in the pits, doing some adjustments. The Aaron Gamer, again, I don't have a lot of information on this person. Looks like they're rocking a factory Red Bull. I would have to imagine he is a F2 driver. And the few times that we've seen him today, you see he has another off there and he's locking up the brakes. He's definitely having some control issues. Possibly trying to learn the game, possibly learn the wheel. Jeremy Pope is in the pits, and he's run a 137.3. Now, Jeremy Pope is the points leader in the IRL GT3 League on Gran Turismo for the PS4 platform, and I can tell you in that particular game, he is an absolute monster to try and deal with. He is fast. He has won the first opening 3 rounds, it seems like. The GT3 League does an endurance race, and then it does a sprint race. The endurance race is 30 minutes. Sprint race is 15, and he's won every endurance round so far. So he's got 3 straight wins as far as the endurance rounds go, and you see that Red Bull is still struggling with grip. So Jeremy Pope, though, has only run 137.3. I know he is a faster driver than that. Tyler Thomas has yet to set a time. He seems to be a little confused about that. He stated on the live chat that he did set a time, but it didn't pop up on the leaderboard. And I'm not sure, Tyler, why that was. And Louis Quinlan didn't set a time at all before he retired from the session, possibly due to crashing out and was unable to catch it. I'll try and get some information on some of these F2 drivers. I did get a list very late, and it looks like Chris Ryan, that's Convex Popeye, Chris Ryan and Tyler Thomas for F2 are going to be the Scuderia Ferrari drivers. We have Damian Birchall and Robert Yarrow will be in the Mercedes. Michael Marlowe and Tyler Rhodes will be riding the factory Red Bulls. Paco Suarez and Jared Fosbury, who Jared is in today's practice session. But Paco Suarez and Jared Fosbury will be in the factory Renaults. Jack Lee and Callum Anderson will be rocking the Force Indias. Ethan Croft and Luke Davies are going to be the McLaren Renaults. Jeremy Pope is going to be participating in F2 this year. He'll be in the Haas along with John Downey. And in the Toro Rossos, we're going to have Nick Stein and Christian Thornton. In the Williams, we'll have Leland Supartini, who participated in F1 last year, and Thomas Scott. Sauber will be Callan Lantham and Shark Boxhorn. They both participated in F1 last year. And then we'll have reserve drivers of Matt Cambra, Luke Berard, and Harrison Lang. So, interesting driver list for F2. A lot of those guys that actually participated in F1 last year. Chris Ryan and Tyler Thomas both participated in the IRL GT3 League on Gran Turismo. Callum Anderson, Ethan Croft, Luke Davies, Leland Supartini, Callum Lantham, and Shark Boxman were all F1 drivers last year. I can tell you from experience that some of those drivers are a little quicker than F2, and some of them definitely deserve to be in F2. As we continue to watch Gabriel Ryan, TMC Bari in the Haas, and that is Bardia Broman, who is in the Haas. So Matthew Alder is still the fastest driver at a 1:37.50. His one-lap pace has been amazing. His race pace has been cataclysmic as he's gone off and wrecked with two other cars. Jay Drawbridge has probably been the most consistent driver, but it looks like he's missing his front wing as of right now. Looks like he's had some contact with somebody. And we have Sanjay Sourhog joining us in the booth now. And Sandra, this is kind of a big day for you. First day on the job, really, in the absence of Cameron Weston Edwards. I mean, aside from the F1, will you also be overseeing the F2 league as well?
Yes, that is correct. I will also be commentating for the F2 league, so I will be doing most of the work there with the help of a few other admins. Some probably have known now. Luis Marshall, aka Praga, is another of the admins.
Interesting to know. So Luis Marshall is going to be one of the administrators. You're going to be racing in F1, overseeing the league, and commentating for F2. So you definitely got your hands full moving into this next year. And how do you feel you're going to be doing as far as the racing aspect? Do you feel comfortable with the game for F1 2018? Are you having difficulty trying to get a handle on the car?
I feel comfortable with the game and the handling. Of course, in this F1 league, I know there's a lot of quick guys. I haven't improved myself, but I'm not expecting to be fighting for podiums. That's for sure.
So you're looking at yourself as a mid-pack driver, trying to be the best of the rest, as they say.
Yeah, well, hopefully mid-pack.
And can you give me some confirmation, Matthew Alder, is he or is he not racing F1 this year?
He's not a permanent driver. If I've understood it correctly from him, he wants to just stay as a reserve, because he might make a few races sometimes, but not a permanent driver.
And moving into this new season, as we're doing the testing here at Paul Ricard, a new track for the season and for the game, what track do you think you're going to excel on, and what tracks do you think you're going to struggle with going into the new season?
Paul Ricard, I think, is a pretty good track for me usually. Same with Azerbaijan, and Bahrain has been a good track for me on this game, surprisingly. Bad tracks, that is definitely Silverstone and Belgium, by far the worst tracks for me.
That's an interesting comparison. It sounds like you do well on the newer style tracks, and the traditional F1 tracks have a little bit of an issue with. Spa and Silverstone obviously being two of the oldest tracks in F1, but Paul Ricard you excel at. So that'll be interesting. Do you plan on making any changes to IRL in the foreseeable future?
Well, for the tracks, yeah, might be something about my driving style that makes especially street tracks fit me well. When it comes to changes with the IRL, I'm looking to just build on the strong foundations we now have, and there will be a few small changes in the foreseeable future, but nothing big as yet. As we've been running it, I think it's been good. So nothing huge yet.
Well, good to hear. We certainly wish you the best of luck moving into this next season, and definitely moving into the ownership of IRL. Everybody seems to have a lot of confidence in your ability, so I'm sure won't be any issues moving forward. And it looks like we also have Tyler Thomas joining us. Is it Tyler Thomas or is it Thomas Scott? Which one?
Tyler Thomas.
Tyler Thomas joining us in the booth. And Tyler, you having a rough time. You haven't set a time, but according to you, you have set a time. But it's not coming up on the timing and scoring.
Yeah. My first lap, which was my fastest, was a 1:32.2. Because it's showing me 7th quickest, but on your end, it's probably glitched.
Okay, so you're 7th quickest on your feed, and unfortunately on the live stream, you have not set a time. There was an issue with migrating host. Sandre had clicked off at one point. That may have had something to do with it. But moving forward, how do you feel you're going to be doing this year? I mean, you seem to have struggled a little bit with the IRL GT3 League. You getting a better handle on the Formula 1 cars versus the GT3 cars?
Yeah, I'm better at F1 than I am at GT, but I'm still not perfect. Going off last year, I don't expect anything big. I hope to at least finish in the race, if not in the points or up front. So I'm not expecting like wins right off the bat or anything like that.
And what tracks would you say you excel at versus which tracks do you think you're going to struggle with moving forward?
Paul Ricard is definitely like a 50-50 track. I can be good some days, bad some days. Germany is probably one of my stronger tracks, as is I think Canada. Those are probably my 3 strongest.
And who do you think is going to be? Who do you think would be like probably like your biggest rival? And who do you think would probably be the championship winner at the end of the year?
It'd have to be. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. I mean, I haven't, based off of some of the guys that I know in F2 that were in F1 last year, they'll probably be up there. I don't know about any of the new guys coming into F2, but I expect myself to be at least middle, hopefully, if I can put together a good string of races.
Interesting facet, since you and Sandre have both said that you're going to be shooting for basically mid-pack heading into this season. So we certainly wish you the best of luck going into the new season, and we look forward to seeing you again back on track at hopefully the IRL GT3 League. We'd love to see you back on track as that as well. So we certainly wish you the best of luck, and I think Callum Anderson is in here with us as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Callum Anderson, and you've raced in IRL in the past. How's it been going for you so far with the new game, the new car? You've been struggling with it this year, or you think you got a better handle on it this year than you did last year?
I've been struggling a lot more from last season. I played it a lot at the start, and then I've gone off it, and then I've gone back playing it, and it's find it like 10 times harder.
And what are your goals for this year? Do you feel like you're going to be running towards the front, or do you feel like you'll be running towards mid-pack as well?
Mid-pack, probably. Why is this guy taking me out? Mid-pack, probably.
Another mid-pack runner.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, the strongest tracks were like Italy, so.
You say Italy's one of your strongest tracks.
Yeah.
Interesting. And where do you struggle with, like, some of the newer tracks like Paul Ricard, or do you struggle with more of the traditional stuff like Spa and Silverstone?
Spa's harder for always. Silverstone's that's tough on this game with the curves and that. I think I'm good at Canada, but like it's just like the Spa's really hard, and the same with Silverstone. It's just like if you.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Do you who do you feel like is going to be the one to look out for moving forward? Who's going to be the driver to try and really take this to the top?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm really like in F2, like probably that Tyler 2003. I think that's his username, Tyler T 2003.
Tyler Rhodes.
Yeah, he's decent. He
And
looks like to be up there.
any driver you're weary of being on track? You got any particular rivals or somebody that you want to try and one up?
Probably my teammate, Jet Li.
Well, as they say, it's probably the biggest competition is F1 is always going up against your teammate.
Yeah, I want to beat him. And it's just same for him probably, but he ain't turned up in the pre-season, so I don't know what he's like. Don't know if he's very quick or anything.
Now, do you think it'll be a biggest competition, kind of like Sergio Perez versus Esteban Ocon, or do you think there'll be some, meshing there where you guys will be able to work together?
I think we'll probably work together in qualifying that. And I think in the race we'll just go for it and see.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck moving into the new season, and certainly look forward to having you back out on track. Looks like I got a lot of drivers in here with me. Who's next? And who is this? Francis McGinn. Good old Francis. You're a very busy driver, and I was told that you were going to retire, and it looks like now you're back. Why don't you tell us, for everybody, what is your status going into this season? Are you a full-time driver, reserve driver?
I think what's happening is I'm a reserve driver for Gran Turismo. I'm a full driver for F1, and then I'm not doing the IndyCar. I think that's what we've come to.
So you will be participating full-time in the F1 season moving forward, so that's good news to hear. It looks like you've gone fastest at a 1:30.271 today. And then news brought to me this morning, it looks like Alder, who is probably going to be your biggest competition, Alder is stepping back to be a reserve. So do you think now you're going to be the one to beat in the point standings?
I think TMC Barry will be the one to beat.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
And obviously your goal is
Hopefully
going to be to
give it to him.
Obviously your goal is going to be fighting for the championship. I think we talked to you a little bit last time out. But I mean, any other goals besides that? I mean, is there a particular track that you struggle with that you want to try and do better with this year, or?
France and Italy.
France and
Those are two tracks I struggle with.
Oh, and one of the Renaults has just rear-ended one of the Force Indias and lost all of his wing. So this is France. This is Paul Ricard. So you struggle here. I'm not a particular fan of this track. But how is it inside the car? I've never actually played this game with Paul Ricard. I mean, is it hard to follow the track with all the different paint schemes? I mean, is there...
No, you get used to it after a while. It's just all the different lines you can take, and I'm just not taking the right ones, I think.
Is there any particular rival or any driver that you're weary of being on track with going into this year?
I would have said Blizzard, but he's sort of reserved. Maybe when he's racing.
So Blizzard, Matthew Alder would be your biggest competition when he is on
Matthew.
track, and TMC Barry will probably be your biggest competition moving forward as we watch one of the Mercedes do donuts with less than a minute to go. But we certainly wish you the best of luck moving into this next IRL season. Certainly hope to see you towards the top. And always good to talk with Francis McGinn, one of the veteran drivers. And again, I think I've got a lot of guys in here with me. Who's next on the hit list?
No one.
Any takers?
Yeah, go on then.
Who's this?
Who was that?
Thomas Scott, sorry.
Thomas Scott. You are doing F2 this year?
Yeah, that is me.
So Thomas, you're new to the foray, I take it.
Yeah.
Now, have you struggled with the new game versus last year? I'm assuming you played F1 2017. I mean, how's the
Yes.
car versus this year versus last year?
Well, it is a change, but I think, although it's challenging, I think that everyone's struggling. But I think recently I've started to understand the game a bit more, and I think that I'm just getting a little bit faster than people around me, so I feel like in a way it has been a hard one, but at the same time it's improved.
And from a driver standpoint, what are your goals for yourself this year? You plan on running towards the front? You're looking to be mid-pack?
Well, I don't really know anyone in F2, but I personally think I'd be near-ish to the top, maybe top 5, because I am similar-ish pace to people like Sandro and Praga, so just have to wait and see what happens really. But
we just saw a big wreck there at the end. Somebody is out on intermediates for some reason, and just got rear-ended by a Mercedes. And do you say you excel at certain tracks versus other ones?
yeah, I would say there's some tracks that I'm better at than most. Bahrain's definitely one of my stronger tracks.
Interesting. Second driver to say Bahrain's one of their better tracks.
No, it's Bahrain, Singapore, probably them two I'm pretty good at. But Bahrain more because of last year I tried to learn manual gears, and that was like literally the only track I managed to learn manual gears for. So I'm just a bit better at that than what most people would be.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you on the track, and you're doing the F2 League this year, and we wish you the best of luck with that. Looks like qualifying is actually getting ready to start, so you may want to jump back in the car.
Yeah. Thank you very much anyway.
Thank you. We look forward to talking to you again here in the future, definitely. And who's left? So it looks like we're waiting on a few other players. TMC Bari looks like he's the last one to try and be joining this qualifying session. So I'm going to do a quick qualifying session, and then there should be an exhibition race shortly after that. And I'm going to step aside real quick. Okay, and I am back, and it looks like we finally got this to load, and it looks like we're going to do ourselves a looks like 18-minute qualifying session. That's longer than it needs to be. So 18-minute qualifying session. And then we'll do hopefully a short exhibition race after 45 minutes of testing, an 18-minute qualifying session. That's a lot of driving. See some of the drivers starting to leave the pits and get back on track. So we had more drivers participating in the practice session, it looks like, versus drivers that stuck around for qualifying in the race. You got 13 drivers right now. We'll run down the driver order. I'll run down the driver order here in just a minute. We'll see some of these guys got in their outlap. Right now, we're currently looking at Jay Drawbridge. I want to thank everybody for sticking around for the test session, and those of us that are still with us for qualifying. And we will be sticking around for the exhibition race after the qualifying. So we got Jay Drawbridge is on his outlap. Tyler Thomas in the Scuderia Ferrari. Antonio is going to be in the Red Bull. Thomas Scott in the Williams. Sandre Sauerhog is still in the pits. Jorge Carrera. Looks like Sandre was just leaving. He's going to be getting that on the track. Jorge Carrera on the outlap. TMC Bari. He's the one that... we've got a caution in Sector 3 already. It looks like Bari was the one that hung up the lobby. The Aaron Gamer. I still don't have any information on this guy. Perhaps I missed it. I'm going to assume he's maybe an F2 driver. See if I can find his gamer tag. I've got nothing on him. But out laps are done. Hot laps are going to be starting. We are going to pick up Jay Drawbridge will be the first one we pick up here in the Mercedes. So Jay Drawbridge out on the, looks like the Ultra Softs. Let's see what kind of time he can set here. And I've just been informed by the league that the fastest lap yesterday was set by Luke Smith, the Australian. He's not participating in today, but he set a 1:29 flat yesterday. You see Saba Siktu is the first one to set a time at a 1:30.2. Tyler Thomas at a 1:31.7, so he was accurate with his times in his interview. Antonio 1:31. Jared Fosbury 1:31. We continue to watch Jay Drawbridge. We expect him to jump to the top of the charts. And it looks like Lewis Marshall is retired, possibly had an off. Jay Drawbridge still trying to put some heat in the tires, and he's going to dive into the pits. We'll pick up Sandre Sauerhog. He's out on the, is it the Ultra Softs or the Hyper Softs? Looks like a pink sidewall versus a purple. Kind of hard to read. Looks like they're all on ultra softs as of right now. So Sandre Sauerhog running through Sector 3, heading towards the end of his lap here. We'll see what kind of time he can set. And just so much runoff throughout this course. I'll say the interesting thing about Paul Ricard is the vast amount of layouts that you can have for this track. And I do believe that some of those layouts could probably provide for better racing versus what we saw. Excuse me. And Sandre Sauerhog jumps to second fastest with a 131.189. That is virtually a second behind. That's 9/10 off of Saba Siktu. Pick up Jorge Carrera in the Alfa Romeo. Looks like Lewis Bish has left the session. And, TMC Bari now. We didn't catch that. But that is a 130.021. That is Bardia Broman. I'm just going to call him Bari for short. So Bari currently your fastest driver, followed by Saba Siktu, followed by Sandre Sauerhog. The Aaron Gamer has retired from the session. He was currently 8th quickest with a 132.5. That time will probably get pushed down and further in the running order. The cautions in sectors 1 and 2 right now. We'll pick up Christopher Ryan in the McLaren Renault. And so far, Comics Popeye, this is his out lap. We're going to try and stick with him on his time lap. We see Lewis Marshall chiming in on the live chat on the YouTube. I guess he had an off. He says he's going to fancy doing some overtaking practice, which means he'll be starting at the end of the field come race time. See just how difficult this track is to get around. Jump on board with Christopher Ryan as he heads down the front stretch into turn 1. And you can barely call this even a racetrack. There's just so much concrete and asphalt around here. It's really just an airport with a bunch of lines painted on it as far as I'm concerned, which makes it great for the multiple layout configurations that you can do for the track, but for me it really takes away from some of the aspects of actual racing. I mean, for me it's always been if the driver gets something wrong, he should definitely pay a price, and that price doesn't have to be dramatic and dearly, but running off here basically just you're off in more asphalt, you know. I see him struggling to try and find the right gear for some of these corners. I'm gonna run this one a bit wide too. Struggling with the downshifting a little bit as he's going to come out of the final corner. Going to cross the line. 133.914. That's good enough for 10th fastest. That would get him into the points. And Lewis Marshall seems to agree with me. He does not like this track either. So Bari is back out on an out lap. He's 130 flat, basically. And that's still a second off of the IRL fastest time set yesterday by Luke Smith. Thomas Scott's going to come across the line, see if he can improve his time at all. He's currently 5th quickest, and he will remain 5th quickest. Pick up Antonio. Antonio struggled a little bit in the test session. Currently 6th quickest, and he will remain 6th quickest. And I'm being told by Eater of Hopex, I'm not sure who that is, but Popeye, apparently, Christopher Ryan, is not a fan of this track either, and I can tell by his driving style that he was definitely struggling. So a lot of drivers struggling to find some pace. Looks like the top 8 are all within less than 2 seconds of each other. Jay Drawbridge has yet to set a time. He's currently on an out lap. And Jay Drawbridge, I know, is very fast. Looks like the only 2 drivers that are out currently is the Aaron Gamer, which I don't have any information on, and Lewis Marshall. We continue to watch Jay Drawbridge here. He's currently on his out lap, trying to put some heat into the tires. And we've got cautions in sectors 2 and 3. And here we go. Jay Drawbridge going to fancy a hot lap. Stick with him for a second. Bari is also on a hot lap. He's also stuck in high rev. Looks like he's having some issues. Bari having some issue. Some sort of electrical and mechanical gremlin. So we'll pick up Jay Drawbridge again. Down the long back straightaway with the chicane in the middle. I don't know what the exact distance is, but I heard, oh, and look at this, Jay Drawbridge gets it wrong coming out of the chicane, and it looks like he's having an issue as well. Sounds like the car's bouncing off the rev limiter. I'm not sure if that's a problem with the car, a problem with the game, a problem with the internet. No wonder these cars sound terrible half the time in this game. They all sound like they're bouncing off of the rev limiter. So 140 for Jay Drawbridge. We're sure that's not the time he was looking for. And apparently the engine revving is a glitch in the game when getting onto the TV pod, according to IRL ownership here. I can only assume it's a glitch in the whole game because the cars half the time sound like they're hitting off of the rev limiter when driving by. But we'll pick up Thomas Scott. There's 3:40 left to play as the qualifying session here kind of winds down a little bit. So Bari is your fastest driver at a 130.0. Sabasik 132.39 as you see Scott just go off of the track there. Tyler Thomas is your 3rd fastest at a 131.153. So good for him. Sandre Sauerhog in 4th. Thomas Scott 5th fastest so far. Jared Fosbury is and you see Scott blows that chicane. It looks like he's just going to give up on this lap altogether. So Fosbury is your 6th fastest. Antonio is your 7th fastest, followed by Jorge Carrera, who's currently in the pits. The Aaron Gamer is 9th. Convicts Popeye has managed a 133.9. Jay Drawbridge has gone 140. Looked like he had some issues possibly with the car. Lewis Marshall is out. And Reese Bibby has yet to set a time. So some of these guys haven't even bothered to set a time. Pick up Sandre Sauerhog. 2 minutes left to play, so some of these guys are going to try for a last-ditch effort to improve their time. So you heard Sandre in his interview. No immediate changes to IRL in the near future. Maybe some other stuff behind the scenes that we're going to work with. And he plans on being, mid-pack runner this year. And it looks like Jay Drawbridge was having a problem at turn 1. It was invalidating his time. 1:29 left to play in this qualifying session. Anybody out on a flyer? We've got Barry out on an out lap. Can he hit the start finish line in time to start a hot lap? We've got Saba Siktu. And Saba has just retired from the session just as we got to him. You see one of the other cars go straight off there at the end. Looks like Sandre Sauerhog is going to try for a hot lap. We've got a caution in sectors 1 and 2. Sandre's looking a little slow through this section here as he tries to come out of this corner. Looks like the back end just wants to kick out just a little bit there. Sticking with Sandre here. Your caution's flying in sectors 3. Oh, and the back end kicks out big time there. He tries to come down to the end of this lap at a 1:38.56. Improves his time, but not his position. And just across there was Jared Frostbury. Jorge Carrera still out on a hot lap, it looks like. Coming down to the end of sector 3 here. (1:34.09), third quickest for Jorge Carrera. Good for him. A last-ditch effort gets him third quickest on his final hot lap. So that is going to do it for the qualifying session. Now we'll jump into the exhibition race. There you see TMC Bari. That is 1:29.268. He did set the fastest lap. Almost got to that 29.0 set by Luke Smith yesterday. Saba 6'2", second quickest. Jorge Carrera with that last-ditch effort to come up third quickest. Tyler Thomas fourth. Sandre Sauerhog fifth. Antonio is sixth. Jared Fosbury is seventh. Thomas Scott eighth. The Aaron Gamer ninth. And Chris Ryan musters out a 10th fastest time. But he's got a lot of quick drivers behind him. Jay Drawbridge and Lewis Marshall are going to be starting behind him. And there's always mass chaos at the beginning of these starts. And it's not a very long run down to turn one here at Paul Ricard. While the backstretch is something ridiculous, like a mile and a half long, the run from the start-finish line to turn one is only a few hundred meters before you have to hit the braking zone. So we've got Gabriel Ryan, Lewis Marshall, the Aaron Gamer, Sergey Randell, who I can only assume his name is Sergey Randell, or possibly Sergey Randall, Thomas Scott, Sandre Sauerhog, Saba 6'2", Christopher Ryan, Jorge Carrera, Jay Drawbridge, Tyler Thomas, Antonio, Lewis Bish, Jared Fosbury, and Bari, whose name is Baradia Brovab. And I do believe they are off and running. Oh, we've got cars off in the background already. No formation lap, run down to turn one. And it's a 1-2 Haas. That's Saba 6'2" and Bari as they run wide. A lot of shuffling going on in the back. Tyler Thomas has worked his way up into third. And unfortunately, Jorge Carrera, who started third, has dropped all the way to 11th spot. Tyler Thomas up into the third position. Saba 6'2" pulling away with his teammate Bari. We got cautions in sectors 1 and 2 right now. They single file go down the backstretch here a little bit. Bari going to try and put a move on his teammate. No, thinks twice about it. We'll pick up Gabriel Ryan as he's right behind his teammate Jay Drawbridge for the day. And he's followed closely by Thomas Scott. Christopher Ryan has dropped back into 14th. Jorge Carrera is now down to 13th spot, unfortunately. They start to spread out a little bit now. Saba 6'2", up on his teammate by half a second. Bari, who started on pole, but Saba 6'2" made a power move on the outside going into turn one to take the lead. Tyler Thomas mustered his way up into third, but he's under attack from Sandre Sauerhog right now. We've got a caution in sector 3. And Thomas gets the pull on Sandre a little bit, but Sandre's going to make a run at him down here at the end of turn one. Can't quite make it work. See Jared Fosbury, he's fighting along with Antonio here in the Red Bull. This is for your 5th spot. He's on the inside. He's going to make it work. Nope, they almost touch wheels. Couldn't quite make it stick. He's going to try and get down on the inside of him again. And again, they almost bump wheels. The back end kicks out. And again, they're going side by side. And now it's a 4-way battle. The 2 Mercedes are in there as well. It's Gabriel Ryan and Jay Drawbridge along with Antonio, all fighting for, now what is the 6th spot? Oh no, and the Mercedes goes far too deep. Got caught up in the run down to the chicane and through the backstretch and blows the chicane. So they spread out a little bit. Unfortunately, Bari has made it by Saba 6'2", and we missed the pass for the lead. Watching that 4 or 5-way battle for 5th and 6th. Can Saba 6'2" get it back, or is Bari going to pull away? Bari is now up to 0.6 of a second over top of his teammate. And again, Tyler Thomas is still under attack from Sandre Sauerhog for third. Got a lot of shuffling going on in the back here. One of the Red Bulls is off. That was Antonio. He's going wide. Jorge Carrera has now worked his way back into the 8th spot, and you see another one of the Williams goes wide there, and possibly. And again, Jorge Carrera loses another spot. We've got a bunch of cars diving into the pits now. Oh, and a massive collision here at the end of the pit road. Right as you try to get in. 4 or 5 cars tried to fit into the spot, and Jorge Carrera, unfortunately, is retired from the session. Was smashed into the wall. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, up at the front, Bari has pulled away from his teammate by 1.5 seconds. You see Sanjay Sauerhog there still working on the back end of Tyler Thomas, trying to get that 3rd spot. Jay Drawbridge, who started at the back of the field, worked his way up into 5th, followed by Thomas Scott for 6th. The Aaron Gamer is 7th. And now Gabriel Ryan, Antonio, Lewis Marshall, and Jared Fosbury, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, have all pulled out of the pits. Jorge Carrera is now done for the day. Christopher Ryan has worked his way back into 13th after falling back a little bit. Lewis Bish is 15th, and Reese Bibby is still in the pits. So, unbelievable. And here we go. Sandre Sauer going to try and make a move. Can't quite make it stick. The battle in the back now is still going on. We're going to stick with the battle for 3rd. Tyler Thomas still trying to retain that 3rd spot. So now the DRS slot is open. Somebody just got a 5-second stop and go penalty. I wasn't able to catch who it was. Sauerhog on the inside of Tyler Thomas. Thomas went wide. Lewis Marshall's going to pick up a 3-second time penalty, and Lewis Marshall looks like he's done for the day. Looks like his car has gone ghost. So we've lost Lewis Marshall and we've lost Jorge Carrera. Sandre Sauerhog takes over the 3rd spot. Tyler Thomas falls back to 4th. So a manic opening couple of laps here in this 13-lap exhibition race. Got Sergey Sandel had contact with Christopher Ryan at Sector 1 at the beginning of the race. And Antonio, looks like Antonio had gone off. Sergey Randall picks up a 3-second time penalty. And looks like there's a heated argument here. Looks like Antonio wanted to T-bone Jared Fosbury, and he almost got away with it too. Just missed him, and there will definitely be some talk of Antonio at the end of this day. I don't know if there was some contact there heading into the turn 1 at the end of the front stretch, and Antonio was not happy about it. But it looks like he has called it quits for the day. So let's try and get a little bit of a grid reset here after all of this has taken place, as we've got some of the guys coming into the pits. Got a caution in Sector 3 again. And it looks like that is the Aaron Gamer has possibly gone around. So it looks like we got some guys leaving the pits here. This is your leader. This is Bari. And Sandre Sauerhog, who hasn't pitted yet, moves into 2nd spot. Good for him. He's followed by Tyler Thomas in 3rd. Thomas Scott is now in 4th, followed by Saba Siktu, who has fallen back to 5th through the pit sequence. Jay Drawbridge is running in 6th, while Gabriel Ryan is running in 7th. Jared Fosbury is just now getting into turn 1, running 9th. Sergey Randall Jared was 8th, Sergey is 9th. Convicts Popeye has worked his way back into the points on softs. He's going to make a long first stint. So he is currently 10th. The last points paying position is where he started. So he's made up for that contact that he had with Sergey at the beginning of the race. Looks like he's struggling with grip just a little bit there. And again, we've got cautions in Sector 2 and 3. We've got Lewis Bish off, the Aaron Gamer, and the Aaron Gamer has just taken out Lewis Bish. And that is the second Red Bull I've seen today try and take out a driver. This one is successful. And again, I don't have any information on the Aaron Gamer. Not sure who he is, where he's from, if he's doing F1, F2. But after that move right there, he should be disqualified for the first round if he is involved in one of these seasons. And again, he blows through the middle chicane. And Aaron Gamer is disqualified from the session. Thank God for that. So both Red Bulls are out for very stupid moves trying to take out other drivers. And that is not what this league needs, especially during an exhibition race. We're going to pick up Jay Drawbridge. Jay Drawbridge, 0.6 of a second behind Saba Siktu. Saba got around him. We've got Brandon Glover chiming in on the live chat as well. Lewis Marshall stating Antonio needs to be kicked out of the league. He took me out 3 times, and he took out Jorge Carrera. Glover, if you wanted to try and get caught up, it's been a manic opening few laps here. A lot of contact. 2 of the Red Bull drivers, Antonio and the Aaron Gamer. Aaron Gamer has been disqualified for taking out Lewis Bish, who is currently running 11th. Antonio apparently had some issues with a couple of other drivers. Tried taking out Jared Frostbury, was unsuccessful, and then promptly called it quits. So very overly aggressive driving here in an exhibition race at Paul Ricard. So we'll get a grid reset. Bari is your leader. He started on pole. He lost pole position to his teammate Saba Siktu in the opening couple of laps. Managed to get around him. Has pulled out to an 8-second lead over Sandre Sauerhog, who's currently running second. Hasn't pitted yet. Tyler Thomas running a 3rd spot. Thomas Scott is 4th. And the battle is really for 5th here. That is Jay Drawbridge and Saba Siktu. Looks like they have swapped positions again. And Sandre is gone off, it looks like. I missed what was happening. I was looking at the chat. And Sandre did not finish. Looks like he wrecked at the end of turn 1, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. That is going to put Tyler Thomas into 2nd spot. Looks like we have another car off there. And now we've got a virtual safety car as one of the Williams is off and spinning. And this is Thomas Scott. So virtual safety car comes out. Unbelievable. Halfway through this 13-lap race. And Sandre looks like he may have run into an issue at the pit exits. Somebody coming out, or possibly him coming out. Looks like there was some contact, and that has ruined his day. He was running 2nd. He's currently scored as 10th as we watch Thomas Scott struggle under the virtual safety car. So he's going to lose a spot. So an unbelievable turn of events. Oh, and Sandre has chimed in on the chat. He was on the front stretch and a car was coming out of the pit exit. And unfortunately, Sandre was actually looking behind him to check his gap to Tyler Thomas. Didn't see the car coming out, and that ended cataclysmically for Sandre Sauerhog, who was running 2nd. Virtual safety car is done. That's going to move Christopher Ryan into the 8th spot. Lewis Marshall has left the session. Lewis Bish is now scored in the 10th spot, even though he's almost a lap down to Bari. And it looks like Jay Drawbridge has had an issue now, and I can't see what happened to him, but he has gone off. See if we can see his car in the background anywhere. And cars are dropping like flies here in this exhibition race at Paul Ricard. So Bari is your leader, 16 seconds ahead of Tyler Thomas, who has managed to keep his nose clean this whole race. Raced hard with Sandre there earlier. Saba Siktu is running in 3rd. He's 3.7 seconds behind Tyler Thomas. Gabriel Ryan in the Petronas Mercedes running 4th. Jared Frostbury in the Renault is 5th. Sergey Randall is 6th. And Christopher Ryan has managed to keep his nose clean and work his way into 7th. Jay Drawbridge 8th, Lewis Bish 9th, Thomas Scott is 10th. Those are your top 10 points-paying positions. Lewis Bish will eventually get the 8th spot, and Jay Drawbridge and Thomas Scott will be 9th and 10th, and even though they're not going to finish the race, they would both pick up, well, they would both pick up points if it was, in fact, a points-paying race. So it's been quite an exhibition race here, working lap 9 of 13, and unfortunately, your closest battle on track would really be between Gabriel Ryan and Saba Siktu, but the gap between them is 2.5 seconds. So quite an eventful race here in what is going to be the final preseason testing and exhibition. We did 45-minute testing, we did an 18-minute qualifying session, and we're doing a 13-lap exhibition race. And its practice was pretty eventful. The race has been outlandish, with just a fury of issues through a lot of drivers. Qualifying was so-so for some of these guys. But I mean, you look at the drivers list, Jay Drawbridge out, Thomas Scott, Sandre Sauerhog, Lewis Marshall, Jorge Carrera, the Aaron Gamer, Antonio, all gone. Reese Bibby, it doesn't even look like he got to start the race. The car's been stuck in pit lane. And there will definitely be some talk about the Aaron Gamer and Antonio after this race. The two Red Bulls, for just unbelievable overly aggressive driving, trying to take drivers out. It is just a game, but there's no need for it from a league aspect. And it's very aggravating, and I think people like to hide behind the facade of the internet that, you know, I can be mean and I can take people out because people can't see me, and that's not what this league is about. It's not what this league wants. There may be some discussion once this exhibition race is over about what to do in these instances moving forward. But it does look like Saba Siktu is starting to close in the gap to Tyler Thomas. That's down to 2 seconds. You see the gap there. So the closing laps, we might have a little bit of a battle here for the second step of the podium. And you see Saba Siktu, the gap to Gabriel Ryan is actually starting to close as well. So Ryan is closing in on Saba Siktu. Siktu is closing in on Tyler Thomas. Nobody is catching Bari at this point. He is 18 seconds ahead with clear track and smooth sailing. So the gap now down to 1.6. Saba trying to close that gap. There's going to be 3 laps to go here. 11, 12, and 13 left to play. And it's now down to 1.2 to Tyler Thomas. Tyler Thomas has kept his nose clean all day. He raced very gentlemanly with Sandre Sauerhall earlier in the race. No issues. But Saba is starting to get down to 1.2. If he can get into that 1 second range. And look at this. Gabriel Ryan is down to 1.5 to Saba Siktu. So we're about to have... Those are the 3 cars we're watching right now. And there's Saba Siktu. He's almost within a second. If he can get within a second, he can get that DRS. He's going to try and get a good run. You can see how close he is now. He's almost within a second. He's within 0.8 of a second. Did he get the timing? You see if the DRS slot opens up. He must have not been there for timing. The next timing sector for DRS, he'll be within striking distance. And it looks like they're coming up on the slow car of Lewis Bish, who is currently 8th spot. 2 laps to go as they work lap 12 of 13 now. And look at this, we've got a 3-car battle for second and third is what it's going to be. The last 2 steps of the podium. And Lewis Bish really needs to get out of the way of this battle. He doesn't need to just get offline. He needs to just get out of the way. And there it is. Saba Siktu is now all over the back of Tyler Thomas. He is within striking distance, and Gabriel Ryan is within 1.2 seconds. Lewis Bish generously moved out of the way going down the backstretch. Let these 3 leaders go by. Oh, and Saba Siktu's all over the back of the gearbox. He's going to make a move trying to go down into this corner here. Looks like he might have bumped the back of him just a little bit. Oh, and he's almost locks up the left front there. Almost got in the back of Tyler Thomas. Thomas went in not as deep as Saba Siktu did. Last couple of corners, and it's going to be back out on the front stretch. Siktu's going to have the DRS available to him for sure. And it looks like Gabriel Ryan might even have the DRS available to him. Both slots are open. Thomas takes the more defensive line. He's going to make Siktu go around the outside. That's going to put him in position at the next corner. And Siktu's going to make it stick. And then we've got a 3-car battle for second spot now. Thomas isn't done with Siktu, but look at this. Gabriel Ryan's going to go around the outside and make the move. And Lewis Bish needs to back off. He just ran into the back of Tyler Thomas, and Bish is not a part of this battle. Fall back and let it be, son. So Thomas, unfortunately, on the last lap, the first sector, loses 2 positions, falling from second to fourth. But the battle's not over between Thomas, Gabriel Ryan, and Saba Siktu. Siktu is all over the back. I'm sorry. Saba has got Ryan all over the back of him. Can Gabriel Ryan make something happen here in the last sector, the last portion of this track? And it doesn't look like Siktu's actually pulled out a little bit. 0.8 of a second over Gabriel Ryan, but Tyler Thomas is still kind of within striking distance. And a slight mistake by any of these drivers. If Saba makes a mistake, Ryan's going to capitalize. If Ryan makes a mistake, Thomas is going to capitalize. But it looks like this might be settled. Your winner is Bari, which I'm sorry I didn't catch that going into the end, but we've got some wings flying off here. So it started as a Haas 1-2 start, and it's going to finish as a Haas 1-2 finish. Bari is your winner, Siktu second. It looks like through time penalties, Tyler Thomas actually gets to pick up the 3rd spot through timing and scoring because of penalties. Gabriel Ryan is 4th. Jared Fosbury is going to come across the line in 5th. Looks like he's pretty happy about that with a top 5. Sergey Randell is going to be 6th. Convex Popeye kept his nose clean for most of the day. Started 10th. Works his way into 7th. Good points paying day for him. Lewis Bish is 8th. Jay Drawbridge 9th. Thomas Scott is 10th. Those would be your top 10 points paying positions come round 1 in a few weeks. Finishing order for the rest 11 through 16 is going to be Sandre Sauerhog, Lewis Marshall, Jorge Carrera, who had that unfortunate accident at the beginning, the Aaron Gamer and Antonio, who in my opinion are both disqualified, and Reese Bibby, who didn't even start the race unfortunately, never left pits. We hop on board with Chris Ryan, who's got a little bit of work to do before the F2 season starts, but a good start to the season here for him, the last preseason test, and he's going to finish 7th. So pretty eventful last couple of laps there. That is a Haas 1-2, and that might be a familiar sight. Bari, in fact, I think Bari is an F2 driver. We have Haas listed as Saba Siktu and Gabriel Ryan. And Gabriel Ryan still had a good run to the finish there, so Haas looks like they might be a force to be reckoned with moving forward. And Bari looks like he is definitely going to be a force to reckon with in F2. So we're going to try and maybe catch up with a couple of these drivers here. The the end of this race. I know Lewis Marshall looks like he had a lot to say. And I'm getting information now. Bari is actually an F1 reserve. So a good outing for a reserve driver. And that may actually put him in a position to be considered for a full-time seat. So definitely an interesting day. Again, we had the 45-minute test session. We had the 18-minute qualifying session and a manic 13-lap race exhibition-wise. And F1 and F2 are going to be coming to you in a few weeks. Again, November 3rd. That weekend is going to be opening weekend. November 3rd is going to be the start of the F2 season. And then November 4th will be F1 that Sunday. Now they're going to be at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. And that is always a great season opener. You can also check out the SRL is going to be kicking off that same weekend. And in fact, SRL is going to be kicking off on November 3rd at Germany. Their schedule got mixed up a little bit there, so they're going to be kicking off the same time as IRL. So guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment today's race on the YouTube channel for IRL. New exciting things are going to be happening moving forward. Be sure to check out my YouTube page as well, KAMIKAZE-FOX. Like, subscribe, and comment. A lot of race videos on there, me racing, me commentating. Also some GTA videos if you guys are into some of that crazy stuff. And again, it was a good day. And was hoping to try and get Lewis Marshall in here for a quick word. See if any other drivers want to get in here for a quick chat before we go off air. But definitely an exciting race. Definitely a very productive testing as far as the 45-minute test session. 18 minutes seems a little long for qualifying. We've got Tyler Thomas joining us now. And Tyler, looks like you almost had second spot locked up there at the end, but you managed to get third through timing and scoring penalties. What was your race like?
Way better than I expected. I qualified fourth, luckily. I think whoever qualified third must have had grid penalties or something because I started in the third spot. Got off to a good start, managed to keep Sandre behind me until lap 4. My tires started overheating because I was pushing so hard, so I started losing it. Was right on the back of him right when he crashed out, and up until that last lap I thought I could keep Saba behind me, but then he got me into turn 1. I got loose in turn 2, and then SX got right around me, so I thought I had fourth, and then I found out I had third, and this is way better than I could have expected.
Well, congratulations on today's exhibition race. Unfortunately, it wasn't a points-paying race, but you kept your nose clean amongst the chaos, and congratulations on the podium finish for today's race. And it looks like we also got Lewis Marshall in here with us. Lewis, I know your day did not turn out the way you wanted it to, for sure. What is your recollection of today's events?
Just chaos, like you said. The 2 Red Bulls need to be checked out because they didn't seem the cleanest. But yeah, wasn't really expecting much. Anyway, France is an awful track for me, so never mind.
So France is already a bad track. Obviously, there were some issues with the Red Bull drivers. We definitely caught some of that. Much discussion. Moving forward, I mean, is France just a bad track for you, or are you going to be able to get back to the form that you were in last year, or can we not expect you towards the front this year?
No, France is just an awful track for me. I just don't like the track itself. It's just, yeah, it's just weird layout and awful to drive.
Now, Matthew Alder was scheduled to be your teammate moving into this year, and that was really going to make a Ferrari powerhouse for sure. Do you think you guys are still going to be able to hold on to that with your new teammate Mark Horsfall. We didn't see him today, and we don't know a lot about him. But do you think Ferrari is still going to be the main force to be reckoned with?
I didn't even know Matthew left.
Well, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Alder is now a reserve driver and not racing full time. Your new teammate is Mark Horsfall, so perhaps look into that.
I didn't even know about that. Yeah, we'll obviously try to keep it up the top, but I'm not sure what's his pace like, so it could be good.
Here's hoping, but looks like Tyler Thomas is always in the wings in F2, so he had a good outing today. Maybe get the call up to F1 at some point. So, well, congratulations to Tyler for his good race today. Lewis, unfortunately, some bad luck today, but we look forward to seeing you both on track at Canada. Lewis will definitely be looking to having a better outing than he did today. So, I want to thank you guys, and again, viewers, like, subscribe, and comment to KAMIKAZE-FOX, IRL, all that fun stuff. And again, November 3rd and 4th is going to be opening season. Going to be the opening round at Circuit Shields Villeneuve. F2 will be on November 3rd, F1 on November 4th. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you at the next round.